Hey, everybody, it's Jason McLaren with the Leadership Loading Podcast. And today we're talking about leadership to advance your career. Our guest today is Mary Guirovich. Mary is the CEO and founder of My Promotion Plan. She's a coach and author, and we'll talk about her book called God's Not Done With You, and it's how to advance your career and live in abundance. Mary's mission is to empower women worldwide to unlock their innate leadership potential and advance their careers holistically. We'll talk about how she's discovered her process and teaching others and her My Promotion Plan systems. So Mary, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jason. It's a pleasure to be here. I love having the opportunity to speak with you and to add value to others.
Definitely. So you've got this whole, your My Promotion Plan and you're a speaker and coach and all that. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background?
Yeah, so I was actually in the restaurant industry years ago after really not even believing in myself. When I was graduating from college, I didn't even think I was capable of going to college. A trip to Las Vegas inspired me to want to run a hotel, and that took me to school at Penn State and ended up graduating from there to run hotels or work in restaurants and things like that. So my background was really in restaurant management. And one day my husband's like, hey, why don't you leave the restaurant industry? And, I kind of didn't think anybody was going to want to hire me. I had all of this wrong thinking, all of these limiting beliefs that were saying like, all my experiences here, why would somebody want to hire me over here? So I broke out in hives one day. I came home and my husband's like, come on, look outside the restaurant industry. And I found this job working at a wellness center. And I started off as a front office assistant working at this wellness center. Well, all I can say is God had his hand in it. I knew that that's where I was supposed to be, even though it didn't make any logical sense. It was like, I told him it was the third pay cut I took since meeting him. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong. I'm just going this way ever since meeting you. And, anyways, the owner would go on to start a company called Freedom Practice Coaching that I would go on to be the first team member with. And I'm a partner still with them today, even though I've stepped out of the full-time operations over there. But yeah, so I ended up coaching doctors, functional medicine doctors in business, and getting a ton of experience, both speaking and coaching and all of these things that really weren't in my background, but I was able to bridge what I'd learned in the past over into this new field. And through this process, I found myself stuck in my career, and that's how I ended up where I am today.
Awesome. So, and I saw that your goal is to help 1 million women earn a promotion by 2030. So you got about 8 years left.
I know. God has this way of just setting these really big goals. I'd set this goal and I published it in the book, and I'm like on the last take and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna take this out, like this is just too big. And God's like, no, are you doubting me? Quit doubting what I can do. Quit putting limits on me. And so I'm just believing God that he's gonna show me the way and the path, and I'm just gonna be obedient to follow the direction that he takes me in.
That's great. My wife and I just started watching the Chosen. I think it's on NBC or something. Everybody's been telling us to watch it, and it's just that same story. Like, just go for it, like do it, and it'll work out. But yeah, definitely. So let's start with the big picture: how to design your own My Promotion Plan, and then we'll kind of drill down into that. So, kind of give us a big picture on how one designs their own My Promotion Plan.
Yeah. So Jason, I actually found myself stuck in my career. I was excelling. It seemed like I was really doing everything right on the outside. I was named team member of the year. I had the largest and most successful coaching load. But when I went in to ask my boss for the promotion up to chief operating officer, he said, we're not sure that you're right for the position. Others aren't sure that you can lead. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm already in the position leading up to that one. I've already had success in that position. I was training others. And so it felt like, what more can I do? And I went around trying to train others, and it really just wasn't working. One woman said she didn't want to be led by a woman. Others would just disregard me. People don't like change. And so here I was one day sitting at work on my day off, and God speaks to me and he's like, Mary, make a plan. And I really needed this plan at the time because my husband called me that same day and told me he was going to be out of his job of 20 years. His company was going in another direction. So my husband, the breadwinner, out of his job. We just had our fourth child. I couldn't earn a promotion. So I just thought, well, I'm just going to listen to God. And so I had a clear vision for the company, but I had trouble clearly communicating that verbally. And I now understand why, given the unconscious biases that people have, which is, I think, why the promotion plan works so well for me and why it works for others. So that's how this thing came to be. And so the promotion plan, it really has 7 different steps to it. I'll talk about a couple of the key steps, and if we have time, we can go into all the steps. I'm happy to share all of them with your listeners. But three of the key steps are showing your accomplishments. So a lot of times we have trouble really, tooting our own horn is what I like to call it. We don't always like to brag on ourselves, but it's really important for your leaders to know the value that you've added to the company. And so this became part of the promotion planning process the second time that I put one together, because I wanted to update them on everything I had done the year previously. And so what it does is you outline all of your accomplishments that you've had since your last promotion. Anytime you can add in reports and figures to tie it back. Have you increased customer service? Have you increased revenue, retention, employee turnover? But where have you really made a difference? And anytime you can quantify that, do that. The other part of the plan, which is what I call the heart of the plan, is your ideas and your problems to solve for the future. So a lot of times we think strategy is really, it's hard, right? We were just like, oh, strategy, it can be this crazy elusive word, but what I found is if you can identify problems within your organization and you can present them in a meaningful way, then you are going to be the person that they're going to see as a partner in solving the challenges within the organization. So I always tell people, just start brainstorming. What problems do you see in the organization that need fixed, right? So you kind of could do that. Or what ideas do you have? We all have ideas inside of us. We are creators. We are created to create, every single one of us. And so I think we are all given insights that other people aren't given, but we have to be bold enough to bring them on the outside. And people don't share ideas for different reasons, but this gives you a meaningful way to get your ideas adopted. One thing we know is that when ideas are presented in a written format, they're accepted 40% more than whenever they're just verbally communicated. So in this section, what you do is you write down what your idea is or what the problem is. Then you write down why it's needed. And this is a key part to your plan. Why is it needed? Because this is the part that you can't usually get verbally out, is really what is going on behind the scenes. And this is stuff that your boss or your manager might not even know. And the key here is to take emotion out of it. When you're presenting why something is needed, it could come across as if you're complaining. Take the emotion out of it, then you're going to set yourself up in a positive light. The next thing you want to do is just list out what the solutions are. That way, when you go in to meet with your manager, they see like, oh, they have ideas. They have ways that we can solve this problem. And you just do your best at putting your solutions out there. What I found is when you get the ball started rolling, your managers and bosses and team around you are going to want to really help you solve those problems, and they'll continue to come up with different ideas. So another section of the plan is what we call the personal development and growth plan. And as we know, leaders are learners. And if you want to continue to develop in your organization, then you're going to want to continue to grow different skills. And so I think that it's good to be intentional about the skills that you're working on growing. And so I suggest that you list between 2 and 4 skills in this. By taking the time to write them down, think into these skills, and how are you going to achieve this skill? Are you going to go to a workshop? Are you going to take an online course? Do you need to get a mentor or a coach? How are you going to really achieve these things? You can then start to list these ideas down. Then when you go in to meet with your manager, you're able to present these things and you're able to get their buy-in towards them, oftentimes financially. I know years ago, I put in one of my plans, I wanted to be part of the John Maxwell team and go to this conference. And so now I'm part of the John Maxwell team. And that was something that my company funded for me to do through another promotion plan. I got the rest of my team to get to come and become John Maxwell team certified coaches as well. So those are three parts. If you want me to go into more, I can.
Yeah, we'll look at those. I want to dive into a couple of those. So writing it down, I was reading, I don't know if I was reading or watching a TED talk or something, and it said, if you don't write something down within 5 seconds or 15 seconds of thinking about it, then you won't do it. And so I always carry a little notepad around me, a little 3x5 notepad. And, as soon as someone asks me something or asks me for a task, I write down, because like I just said, you won't remember it later on and you won't do it. And so it's the same thing with your goals. I always tell everyone at the beginning of the year, write down your goals for the year, and make sure you outline those, like you said, and move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so true. What we're not writing down, we'll forget it. We'll think, oh, I'll remember that. It's such a good one. I'll remember that for sure. And then sure enough, we're like, what was that idea again? So absolutely.
And then that also helps with one of the other bullets you were talking about was learning. You can just keep saying, oh, I'm going to get this certification, or I'm going to get this degree, or I'm going to get this training. But until you actually write it down, put it on some kind of agenda, because a lot of these things take weeks and weeks and weeks. I'm in a yellow belt class, Lean Six Sigma yellow belt class right now. And I thought, oh, it's an 8-hour class. I'm just going to sit down and knock it out. No, it's like 12 weeks or something. And we got all this homework to do. I'm in the middle of my PhD. I've got all these other certifications I've had to do. And it's all just something you've got to figure out and kind of write it down and plan for it. You can't just say, I'm going to do this and sign up for the class.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to be intentional. I think that's the thing. We're capable of accomplishing so much, and there's so much time that it just kind of falls away if we're not intentional about knowing what it is we really want to focus on. And that's why I always suggest limiting it between 2 and 4 things for the year. That way you can get really deep into developing those skills, because the other thing we see that tends to happen is we want to learn everything right now, everything at once. And then it's like there's competing priorities. What are we going to do? Where's the time going to go? And we feel like we haven't really succeeded. And it's important for us to feel like we're making gains in those areas. And we know that learning really happens through spaced repetition. And so you have to have time, and you want to learn it over a period of time, not just in one weekend or 1 week. It's good to get started that way, but you have to apply it. That's the thing. It's not just knowledge, it's taking the actions to apply it.
Yeah, I just shared a thing on LinkedIn 2 days ago, I think it was, said certifications don't get you a job. It's the certifications partner with the experience. And you can get a CPA license or something, but just because you went through all the training and got it, you need that years of experience on how to look at things, just for example. So with that, we were talking about intention. So I know your focus is more on women, but so how can women intentionally grow and develop their skills of positive influence?
Yeah, I know that the first thing we really have to do is we have to believe in ourselves. We have to believe that we are capable. I know that sounds so simplified, but there was a time where I didn't believe that I could become an executive. And my husband and I would have these conversations. It would go something like, he would be telling me all the reasons why I should be an executive, and I would be telling him every small reason why I shouldn't be. And that would be the winning argument. And it sounds ridiculous to look back on. It's like, how could you even think that? But we tend to have this distorted thinking, and we tend to remember our mistakes more. And we become very self-critical, and it's almost like a defense mechanism. If we don't want something greater for ourselves, and we can't fail at achieving that. And so sometimes whenever we can't clearly see what the roadmap looks like, we'd rather not say we're going to do something because we want to know every step along the way. But what I've learned is we have to believe before all of the steps are going to come in line. Just like this large goal I have of helping 1 million women. Well, when I set this goal, I didn't have a book. So it's like, okay, writing a book. This is a way that I can help more women. It's going to be accessible to more people. More people are going to be able to share it. And so it's a tool in a way, but the belief comes first. And so once I believed, I actually stood up at a leadership meeting and I said, I'm going to be the next chief operating officer at this company. I didn't know this would happen. I thought I had at least 10 years. The position opened up 3 months later. And so the second thing is that we have to put ourselves out there. We have to go for it. We have to take that risk. So I had to walk into my boss's office and tell him that I wanted the open position. And we have to make it known what we want. There's a lot of unconscious biases that we face. And it's easy to be like, well, it's not fair. It's not fair. Well, the world isn't fair. It's just not. But if there's no point in arguing with fair, I believe in just finding what you can do, what's within your control, and owning that part of it. Of course, we would love for it to be fair, but it's not. A lot of things aren't, though. And it's just where we're at today. So putting yourselves out there. So talking to your manager, making sure they know what you want, believing more for yourself, and really, checking to see what kind of limiting beliefs you may have. You may have a belief that money is evil, right? You don't want more money. If you have more money, you're a bad person. Well, you're going to be blocking yourself from earning more money if you believe that you're a bad person if you earn it. You're also going to be blocking yourself if you're like, well, oh, I don't want to be an executive because they don't get to spend any time with their family, or whatever other belief that we create. It will limit us from wanting this position. And so we have to create a new belief that says, I can do this differently. I don't have to. I became an executive after turning my plan, and I was made vice president of operations. And I was running this role. My husband actually went to Louisiana to just to open up another company. And so we had a baby, and here I am, single momming it with 4 kids. One's a baby, one's special needs, and I'm running an executive role. But I could say, like, well, this isn't possible for me now. Or I could say, how is this possible? What help could I enlist? And I think that's another thing we need to do as women, is we need to enlist help, and not feel like we have to do everything on our own, because society teaches us that we're supposed to be able to be great at everything. And the truth is we can't. So like, you should lean into your strengths and really do those things with excellence. But things that aren't meaningful for you to do, or that you don't truly enjoy doing, have somebody else do them. Especially as you continue to grow and you have a greater income, you can hire someone to clean or mow your lawn. You can hire someone to clean your house. I've had a mommy helper in the past when I was trying to grow my career. They would, handwritten cards are really important to me. They would help me address cards and mail stuff out and clean my car and, organize the craft closet, something only the mom could seem to do at our house. But these things, it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. It's sometimes things around us don't always have to all be perfect. We don't have to keep all the balls in the air, but you got to set those goals. And I'd say, a lot of times what we find, they've done studies on the women that are in the Fortune 500 roles as CEOs. And what they found is 2/3 of them didn't believe they could be CEO until somebody told them that they could be. So if you are a woman listening to this, I believe in you, and you are completely capable of being the CEO of an organization. And as soon as you believe, you will start to be able to enlist others in that belief. But then it's about having a strategic plan to get there. I always say, Jason, there are 4 steps to creating a new belief. 1 is just to have that desire. The 2nd is to commit to it. The 3rd is to make a plan. And the 4th is to take action on that plan. And you just continue to take those daily actions, and you don't get tied to the emotional response. Sometimes we'll say, like, oh, well, that didn't work out. That didn't go the way I wanted it to. And it's like, we can't expect everything. We can't expect to knock everything out of the park. And I really believe God uses everything for our greater good, but we get so focused on what the result is. And so we have to make sure that we're just being obedient and doing what he's asking us to do, not trying to figure out how he's going to use it, because the failure of that thing could be how he's using it.
Definitely. And coming from I was an Air Force firefighter, and coming from that, it's obviously a male-dominated field, and then moving out of the military into fire protection stuff was male-dominated. Then I jumped into healthcare, and it's obviously highly female. So I think it's crazy for women not to think they can be a leader, because since I've been into healthcare, I've had nothing but female supervisors and bosses. The COO of the hospital I work at now is a female. But it's just, to me, just on my experience, it's kind of crazy. I can't really empathize with it, but I think that's kind of a metric to other women that, look at these industries where it is female dominated. You can see that it's possible just because it's happening. The business is a business, and so it's translatable to other industries. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely possible, but we have to believe it, because like in my case, if I wouldn't have walked into my boss's office, we would have hired somebody else. In the past, I was asked to put out jobs for a manager. I would put the ads out. It never occurred to me to say, I was a good manager before. I can be your manager. So we really have to, like I said, believe in ourselves first, because if we don't, And it's not this 100% belief. We don't have to be, I think sometimes we wait to be ready. We wait to be like completely ready. But the truth is like you're already ready. You are uniquely you. You will grow into the things that you need to. And one of the mistakes I see women commonly make is we think that we have to be like somebody else in order to obtain the position. And that's not it. You need to be uniquely you because you're going to have strengths that that other person didn't have.
Definitely. All right. If you had 1 minute, say you're riding an elevator down with someone and you had 1 minute to tell them your leadership tip or leadership advice, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I would say believe in yourself and listen to your inner voice. God is talking to you, and He is going to give you special insights and ways to accomplish things that are going to be easier if you will just take the time to listen. So get still, believe in yourself. And if there are other people that are not believing in you, get the heck away from them and find yourself a new group of people to be around because you are worthy and you are valuable and you're capable.
Great. And remind us of the book name again. I know I said at the beginning.
Yeah, the book is called God's Not Done With You, How to Advance in Your Career and Live in Abundance. And we teach you not only how to renew your mind and harmonize your heart with the Lord, we do a little bit of why we need to really advocate for ourselves as women, but then you get the whole promotion planning process, the full 7 steps. I outline everything in the book so you know exactly what to do so you can create your promotion plan to get your advancement like the other women I've helped across the country.
And is that available now or is it pre-order?
It's pre-order, but March 1st is when it's coming out. So we are just a week away from today.
Awesome. And how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can go to maryguirovich.com. maryguirovich.com. People can connect with me there. We have different courses, free giveaways. You can watch a whole masterclass on the promotion planning, or you can connect with me on social. I'd love to connect with you at Mary Guirovich.
All right, and I'll put the links in the show notes below. Well, Mary, thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing your time with us and all these experiences, and we'll get this out there.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it.